This podcast is brought to you by STUDIO IOX. If you have any similar content you want to work on, please contact STUDIO IOX for services.
Omna sinamda ranjil hindrobe tachi chochu shina jubai sange chudan gendem pabe so kinla chazen da jan tashi dreme ge bozi den dondro gonjambe ge be ge tra peltamba kunla gomba jachir taba jin himbo tarpa zen peltani simjin thamje lagong rabe be samze ba zarap trabelde Tenzam debe dashi pepe wan devra shimba angela chaze lo jambel jeno pandan doji zichere zewang gimbo jambeb Sai nimbo driba namba namki nimbo pacho kundo zao bendoji begara lushi dan no bondawa reti nima chazele nam dashi belgi chojan chu semba jela chaze rinjen dojo dashi sergi nyande jom pumza yuwa kamala nyenda thunda pinzo bebe minom ge zen jur golo de rinjen da jo ge chaze ji chochu chodu gyawa chuji ge yesongo tembe bebe we dashi Lamo jela jazelo samba chembo de jungsem medong denda ge boyu krozum page bodalwa meme zanamte sede lade kolo tishu la dan don doji jembe ore de jede geze sosum ne so gile dashi jide jwa jela jazelo da ja dendrir jawa zamba na gedani wa zawa kinshin Deden pepe someday jendo dashin den pensum sombra show.
First of all, a very big shout out to IOX Studio for the setup. And if there are any businesses or organizations who want to do something similar, IOX will hook up with an excellent services. And let's begin the podcast. Kuzambo Tuku.
Kuzambo.
Thank you so much for being our first guest for this podcast. Tuku, I've known Tuku for more than 20 years. He is one of my oldest and closest friends. And I'm so happy that I'm starting the podcast with you.
Thank you, Kinley.
So, Tuku, before we begin the podcast, can you explain to our viewers why we did the short prayer we just did right now?
Papa Tashin Tsekpa, basically a condensed version of the auspicious prayer that Buddha Buddha preached, was condensed by Rinzin Jasin Yimbo into this auspicious teaching. So all the auspiciousness of the Bodhicattvas, the Buddhas, and everything is put into this. So it's an auspicious thing to start off with this prayer, whatever activity you do.
Nice. Like a very good, basically to accumulate good luck and for our whatever project we're having to succeed.
Exactly. Yes.
So like I said, I've known Tuku for more than 20 years. We grew up together. So when I was studying RTC, Tuku used to always come pick me up. And if Tuku wasn't picking me up, Tuku would be up there. We'd be playing basketball. And before we start the podcast, Tuku, I want to ask, who's a better basketball player, you or me?
Thank you, Kinley. Kinley, basically, you taught me how to play basketball. Right after coming out of retreat, I was kind of bored and wasn't doing much. So you kind of gave time to spend time with me. We played basketball. Basically, I learned how to dribble the ball and how to shoot and everything with you. So obviously, you're the guru. You'll always be better.
Tuku is being too humble. Remember, Tuku, a few years ago, we played one-on-one. It was in Delhi. Tuku beat me pretty badly. It was like 5 or 6-0. And Tuku was wearing boots. And I was I was, I guess you could say, in my basketball attire. Tuku's really good in basketball. I'm sure most of the basketball players who are viewing this podcast right now will agree.
I don't think so. Anyways,
Tuku, you're being modest now. Anyways, to get back to the podcast, Tuku, at what age were you recognized, and how did you feel when you found out that you're going to be a Tukula?
I was, I wasn't. How do I say it? I wasn't recognized as in the conventional sense, as in no great Rinpoche came looking for me. Nobody saw my potential and sent letters. Like, normally all Rinpoches more or less have teachers, great teachers who are great beings who sent letters of recognition of the father, the mother, the location, the house, and all of that. I didn't have a story like that, to be honest. My story was that I was a very sickly child, and my parents took a tremendous amount of effort to keep me alive, because the hospital in Thimphu, the doctors would continuously tell my mother that your son will not survive, so you should spend quality time with him. So she would not agree with that, and she would go to Delhi and Calcutta. Those days, these were the places to go to. And the doctors in Calcutta and Delhi surprisingly would say that your child has no issues. I don't know if it's appropriate to tell you, but my intestine used to kind of pop out from my stomach. It used to protrude from my stomach, so it was kind of scary apparently. And whenever we landed in Calcutta and Delhi, it would kind of heal. So we did that back and forth for 5-6 times, and it was very expensive. Then a friend of my mother's kind of mentioned that maybe this is a little bit spiritual and a little different. Maybe you should approach this Tang Rinpoche, Chujam Tang Rinpoche. He was very he was known to be clairvoyant, and he was quite famous then. So we kind of drove to Tang, and then when we reached the parking area, he kind of mentioned to his attendant that a great practitioner is coming to to meet us, and to prepare tea and all the auspicious setups. So when we reached, he was very fond and very cheerful and very kind. I still remember how kind he was to me, and how the moment I saw him, I kind of felt very safe, So he offered a khadar, and then he told me to sit on a raised pedestal, and then he offered tea. Obviously, we kind of got talking, and then my mother asked him these questions, if there was any possibility of him healing me, and he agreed definitely that he didn't have to do anything, but rather I had to change my clothes and become a practitioner, become a follower of the Dharma, not a lay person. And my mother was kind of reluctant, so she kind of requested if there was any other way, and if he could perform some pujas and save me that way. But his answer was quite adamant and quite strong. He said that either you have a son who is a practitioner, who is a monk, or you don't have a son who is a lay person. So then she had to make a decision, and she decided to change me into a so that's how it started. Obviously, my life as a Tuku, initially, to be honest, it was very like a roller coaster ride. I did not really agree and appreciate a lot of things. I preferred to be in the park, be with my friends, you all, like my cousins and my friends, to be playing outside, watching cartoons and, doing the normal things, rather than sitting on a pedestal and doing prayers and learning and, going through a rigorous routine was not my ideal kind of childhood. So I was very rebellious about wanting to not do that, So initially it was a very difficult stage of my life, I would say.
Nice, Tuku. That was a very beautiful story, like Tuku. I've known Tuku for more than 20 years, and this is the first time hearing how Tuku was actually recognized and how Tuku feels about being a Tuku initially. This is basically how you felt when you first found out Patimola Tuku. Yes. But now, how do you feel now, right now, at your current time, being a Tuku, after experiencing everything what you've been through?
So I have to credit almost everything about myself to my mother, because she was the greatest supporter of who I am and what I have become. It's through her nurturing and her love and her care. So when she saw me struggle when I was young, you kind of get beaten up a little bit,
of course.
Disciplined a little bit,
yes.
So she went through that, and she kind of saw, and she never forced me to be a Tuku. No matter what, you have to make the decision. She would always say, right now is not too late. You can still go to school. You can still follow a life like your cousins, So she would always give that option to me, and somehow I always remember telling my mother that not to worry, that I don't want to be anything other than a Tuku. But obviously I wasn't the most disciplined Tuku also, so.
But Tuku, I mean, you're young and going through a lot, and when you're young, you don't want to experience a lot of things, especially at that age. Getting into a very disciplined sort of lifestyle would be very difficult for a young boy, a teenager. Yes. And Tuku was discovered at a very young age, Tuku. Yes. And it must have been very difficult. But now, sorry, how old were you, Tuku?
3 years old.
3 years, wow.
When I started off going to Dichipotong.
In Dichipotong.
Yes, I remember going to... I was kind of pampered, so my parents were very protective. So when I was 3 years old, it was like I'd get dropped off in the morning. It was very daycare kind of thing. So then I'd go there and then come back home at night. But my compatriots who were studying in Dishipatra, most of them were older than me, but they were many who were my age or, a little older, they didn't have that option. So they would be stuck there even though they were like tiny little kids. I don't have any regrets about how my life panned out, because I think I am who I am because of all these experiences. And I'm very grateful for my experiences because I have found faith in my religion through these experiences. And I don't have anything but respect and reverence and love for and for Buddhism.
Nice. Thank you, Tuku. Tuku, I believe you're the reincarnation of Lomsonam Sangpona, Mim Lama. I tried doing some research on him on Mim Lama, but I have to be honest, I couldn't find much. I just found out that he built the Churton in Tochula, and I think, I'm not sure, but he prophesied or he has something to do with the Guru Nangse Zilin statue in Takilamola. Do you mind explaining or elaborating on his contribution to Buddhism as well as in Bhutan?
So Mim Lama is supposed to be the illegitimate son of the first king of Bhutan. So yeah, and he was throughout his life, I think he was very connected to a lot of teachers, a lot of special beings, most noticeably people like Kuju Jamyang Temple, who came from Tibet to actually open the Payul of Payul Khambajong in Kurte. So from a very young age, I think he was connected to these teachers. And then most notably, when he went to Tibet, he got the most privileged tutelage of Tongden Shashiri, where he studied Mahamudra and also Tongden Shashiri's personal mind treasure, Gurudeva. There's a lot of Mahasandhi practices. So yeah, his teachers and his practices and all of that were so proper and so immaculate, I was kind of told once about the struggles that they had to go through. The way they kind of went through their daily life was they would basically dig holes and then burrow in and sleep at night inside a burrow. And in the daytime, basically, it was a very practice-oriented lifestyle. So even while getting water, you would be kind of required to be in meditation. And even Tongden Shashiri's children were so adept at meditation that they would, I was told that they would walk up the mountain with the rays of the moon, and towards the daytime they would be coming down because they would follow the rays of the moon and reach the top of the mountain, like the hill, and then they would come back in the daytime. So more or less they would not necessarily sleep also, I think. And that is the early stages of Mim Lama's thing, his life. He had a very rigorous practice of a lot of meditation, rather than the contemporary way of studying and then debate and all of that was, I don't think, his routine, how he was taught. But he was more on the meditative kind of way, the way he was taught. So then he obviously came back to Bhutan, and he started building a lot of monasteries and a lot of stupas. He's credited of building over 100 monasteries, over 1,000 stupas. Most notable retreat center or monastery that was built by Mim Lama was in Tsarikkipu. Yes, a very special place for Drukpa Kagyi practitioners. Tsangpa Jarir, the head of Drukpa Kagyi, he revealed the mind terma of Tendel Rabdin, the practice of Tendel Rabdin, from Tsarikkipu, and that location, I think, not in the exact location, but in Tsarikkipu, Mim Lama built a retreat center, and he was quite praised by the Tibetans also, because as a teacher of meditation, he was also called Tupin, master of meditation. And even the Charokhashur in Bodha in Nepal, Charokhashur Bodha in Nepal, he renovated that along with led and headed by Tondesha Shishiri's heart son, Se Pakchu, and they kind of fixed the Charokhashur when he was, I think, long time ago, yeah. Yes. And like you correctly mentioned, the Chorten in Dochula, and the Chorten in Chunzom.
No, Chunzom.
There's many stupas and monasteries, especially retreat centers in Bhutan, that is credited to Mim Lama.
Nice. Can you specifically mention the ones, the retreats he started in Bhutan?
So most notably would be the one in Honso, in I think he started one in Dewathang also. Many in the east, Dorantha in Punakha, Levisa. And you were mentioning earlier that what is his greatest gift or contribution to the country and Buddhism. His greatest contribution, in my eyes, I would say that is the way he practiced Mahasandhi and Mahamudra. So the Kaji and Nima practice, he was so immaculate that he would not segregate, that he would not, there wasn't an ounce of, he would never say, this is mine and that is not mine. He never segregated it like that. He was so good at even the chants and puja practices of both sects, that people would say, oh, he's definitely a Tersa practitioner, or he's definitely Tersa, Tinjum Rinpoche's lineage. He's definitely a practitioner of Drukpa Kagyi. The way he conducted the pujas and chants were so immaculate. So the noticeable, yes, that would be his most great thing here.
So, Tuku, you were mentioning the Dzogchen and what was the other one? Dzogchen is for Nyingma practices, right?
Yes.
The highest form of teaching, or
yes,
and for the
Chachen.
Kaju is Chachen.
Chachen.
Yes. So, Tuku, do you personally practice it yourself as well?
Yes.
Both.
Initially, the Chachen practice I got from my root guru, Chabjitins Dundro. In Cherry, very fortunate towards the latter stages of his life. I was almost late. I was right in time to receive the Chakchen teachings, the Mahamudra teachings. And then also a few Dzogchen teachings we received from His Holiness, His Chabjiten Zrndo. In Penciling in Karapandi, we received Tish Lama, Jezinyinti. I'm mentioning all of this, but not a good practitioner, so it's just something I received, but not at all, not at all properly practiced or learned even. And then for these are Mahasandhi, these are Dzogchen, ultimate Dzogchen teachings, and obviously I received a lot of empowerments, a lot of even Dzogchen teachings from His Holiness Chabji Khyentse Rinpoche. I was very fortunate to receive the Rinchen Terze in Takila, and from that on, I have been guided by Rinpoche with a lot of Dzogchen teachings.
Tuku, is it possible for you to explain what the Dzogchen and the Chikchen Mola Tuku? Chachen teachings in very simple terms, lah. Or you're not allowed, or is there like is there like a secrecy?
It's self-secret.
It's self-secret.
It's self-secret. That's the reason why you have to kind of really dedicate your life to kind of figuring it out.
So you can't just know about it. You have to really be in.
But the method, I cannot disclose because forbidden by my teachers to not do that. But I can tell you this, that the true nature of our mind is both Chakchen and Dzogchen. And basically, it is two methods of understanding the true nature of the mind.
Sounds very simple, but it's much, much deeper than that, Memola.
I believe so.
Dzogchen and Dzogchen. Thank you, Tuku. Tuku, in reincarnations, for some Tukus, I believe there are like 3 reincarnations, like the mind, the body, the soul. And which one are you, la?
I have no idea.
sorry for bringing that up.
No, it's fine. But I have no idea. First of all, I don't consider myself to adequately be able to say that I am Mim Lama's incarnation, because the activities that Mim Lama in his lifetime were able to perform and accumulate, and when I put my life side by side to that, it's so I don't even come close to what he has achieved. So I cannot with my conscience say that I am actually his incarnate without a doubt. But for me, I'm not being humble, but I like it. I like this kind of way this thinking that I have, because I look at Mim Lama as a teacher, as a guide, and as an exemplary aspiration, inspiration, because like I said, he dedicated his life completely and utterly for the well-being of sentient beings and Buddhism. So whatever I do and whatever distractions that I have, I can always look at Mim Lama and then correct myself. And when I feel kind of demotivated, I can motivate myself, and so he's more of an attainment that I wish, rather than being an incarnation of him, so to speak.
Thank you, Tuku. Tuku's being very modest lah. Tuku, you say that you're not the reincarnation of Mim Lama, but I believe that you are definitely following his footsteps lah. Speaking of following footsteps, I haven't heard from Tuku directly, but I heard that Tuku has also built many statues, specifically like 108 statues of Guru Nangse Silin lah. Can you talk about that project lah?
Guru Nangse Silin project. Okay. So there is a prophecy. There's actually a lot of prophecies by a lot of tertins of the past, talking about the calamities that will happen in 2030. Basically, the dog year is kind of always deemed, the iron dog year is always deemed as one of the very unlucky times for the world, and especially Buddhism. So one notable tertin that I came across, and his prophecy was tertin Jimin Nidindoji. So this tertin had foretold that there will be a lot of destruction, a lot of illnesses, a lot of strife, a lot of war, famine, and so on. And to prevent that, one was prophesied to build a lot of Guru Rinpoche statues, and to take those up in the mountains, wherever high mountains were, to place them there, and from the wind, the water, the basically whatever touched those statues would permeate blessings throughout the location, and that would prevent a lot of negativity. And also it was mentioned that to build a lot of to carve a lot of Benza Guru on black stones, and the normal way we do it, Donago, you see those Om Mane Peme Ho Om Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Ho inscriptions, right? So to make a lot of these and place it on roads and any way possible. And also for the Benza Guru recitation, which very compassionately and very notably Jamje Shisha Ramjam Rinpoche conducted when he was conducting the Rinchen Terze at the Lung time, when people were receiving the Lung, they were given instructions by Rinpoche to recite the Benza Guru, and I think he managed to accumulate 1.8 billion, if I'm not mistaken. That was a very inspirational way of doing it, and I think a lot of Rinpoches followed through after that.
Amazing. Amazing, Tuku. Speaking of lungs, Tuku, I remember Tuku taking me to get a lung for Jiktarwanchula. It was somewhere in
Tichapata.
Tichapata. Was it in Tichapata?
Yes.
It was
yes.
from one of Tuku's
my teachers.
Mola.
Yes.
Tuku, can you explain the importance of receiving a lung for anyone to, I guess, practice the particular prayers or recitations?
So, lung is a very, I think, even in the Indian way of practicing things, practicing Buddhism, I don't think people were necessarily taught the tea, which is basically explaining every word and then guiding people in that sense, but rather the lung was, I think, deemed very important in India, because the lung is the way you receive it is word, mouth of word from your teacher directly to your student ears, and it goes on again and again till if it's the Kanjur, then Lord Buddha himself, the direct lineage, direct connection exists. And if it's, for example, the Jityaonchi that you mentioned, it was composed by Shabdrung Rinpoche's own father, Yaptembi Nyimba, as a salutation and long life prayer for Shabdrung Rinpoche. And that, till my teacher, or till the teacher you mentioned, who is W. Kude Sangedoji, who very compassionately gave you the lung, and
I recite it every morning.
It's very good, Kinley.
I mean, I'm not very good at memorizing anything, but Jiktanwachu, I'm a little confident now. And speaking of Jiktanwachula, Tuku, every time we meet up, Tuku always mentions how important Shabdrung is. I mean, obviously, Shabdrung is very important. Shabdrung is a very important figure. Shabdrung is the founder of Bhutan. He's the unifier of Bhutan. He's the one who created the Chursi system, the religious and political system. Tuku, in your own words, could you elaborate on Shabdrung's contributions and what Shabdrung means to you personally as well?
Shabdrung Rinpoche was prophesied by Lord Buddha himself as an accomplished practitioner who was equal to Dorji Semba. Yes, a great practitioner. He was proclaimed, he was foretold. Guru Rinpoche proclaimed and foretold that that Shabdrung Rinpoche would be like a lightning in Tibet and like a dragon in Bhutan. He was foretold by Guru Rinpoche in that order, and that whoever met him and whoever saw him would, without a doubt, be reborn in Amitabha's pure land. So, Shabdrung Rinpoche is also credited, like you correctly mentioned. There wasn't a Bhutan before Shabdrung Rinpoche. There was only Manyul, Menjong, Menyul, basically, where there was no Dharma, supposedly. Shabdrung Rinpoche unified the country. Druk was given under his flagship as a country, unified as a country. But most notably, more than all of that, for me, the greatest contribution from Shabdrung Rinpoche is obviously the Dharma, but also secular governance. But the governance aspect of it, I think, I'm not sure if people tend to look at it in that sense, but even the people in day-to-day lives and working in government offices, they needed to actually be practitioners, and secular enlightenment was, I think, the goal of Shabdrung's establishment of the dual system. People in office need to be more adapted to the wisdom of Buddhism, and I think that was the goal, and that is what he thought about. I think, when he enacted this system of dual system. So that would be the most notable gift for Bhutan and for Buddhism in general from Shabdrung Rinpoche. Obviously, there are so many notable things that he has accomplished. He obviously unified a country which was a principality that was warring continuously, both in Bhutan and from in Tibet and other countries. He unified a nation filled with different ethnicities who were not at all happy to be a one nation kind of situation, I think, back then. He built many zongs, obviously. I think there's a misconception about the zongs also. People think that zongs are basically, some people that I've spoken to have kind of mentioned that zongs were basically fortresses. But not only just for spiritual practices and administration, but for a fortress like a castle to protect oneself from invasions and all of that. And I think it could be true, but I think the purpose of it was more focused on spiritual growth, based on, for example, Guru Rinpoche's practice sites. For example, most notably in Singedong. There are many zongs in Singedong, and these zongs are basically just rocks, and maybe a little bit of somewhat of a cave. So basically, a zong can be many things, and I think that inspiration comes from a very spiritual aspect, spiritual path. Yeah.
Thank you, Tuku. What does Shabdrung mean to you, Tuku? Personally, to you, like how has Shabdrung affected you, I guess spiritually, emotionally, however you take it,
Shabdrung Rinpoche is the embodiment of the compassion of all Buddhas, Pabhajanisi, obviously. So, for me personally, Shabdrung is he is always the guidance. He is always the ultimate attainment. The when you reach an obstacle of not being able to overcome, then he's obviously the guidance, the pacifier of all these obstacles. So I couldn't really put out in a word what Shabdrung really represents, but Shabdrung Rinpoche is everything, without a doubt.
Thank you, Tuku. You mentioned Pabcherizi, Tuku. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tuku. Shabdrung is, of course, most of us know that Shabdrung is the direct reincarnation of Kinkin Pema Karpola.
Yes.
But Shabdrung is also known to be a reincarnation of
Generously.
Cherenzi. Do you mind clarifying that?
So in Tibet and in the Himalayan region, basically these locations are Cherenzi's domain for enlightening sentient beings. And there are many uncountable numbers of incarnations of Cherenzi. And Shabdrung is the incarnation of Cherenzi, obviously, one of them. And the most notable thing about Shabdrung related to Cherenzi would be that Tsangpa Jeri's brother's lineage. So the direct bloodline of Tsangpa Jeri is also directly Shabdrung Rinpoche, like,
Nice.
you know.
So Tsangpa Jeri is also a reincarnation of Cherenzi.
Cherenzi, yes.
Of course, in most of the temples and zongs here, we see the 12 together, no? The Shabdrung Puntum Tsokpa with the Shabdrung, Tsangpa Jeri, Kinka Pema Karpo, Kinga Peljo, and
Kinga Penjo.
That's okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And Tuku, there's so. I mean, we always talk about Shabdrung La, and I've even not from. I mean, obviously, I've heard so many stories from Tuku, but I've heard so many stories myself as well, and I want to get a fact check. Like, tell me, like, if it's wrong, if it's accurate or not. Some stories I would like to mention. Tuku, Shabdrung La. I heard that while he was meditating in Cheri, he had a vision where he saw a beautiful garden. And as he was trying to walk towards the garden, he was woken up. I don't know if it was a flicker or it was a slap. And supposedly the one who woke him up was Belden Hamola, one of the main protectors of Bhutan. Do you mind giving your thoughts on it?
It's actually true. Yeah, it's quite accurate also, Kile, whatever you said. Shabdrung Rinpoche defending the country, unifying the country, and then defending the country had a lot of people unhappy, both internally and externally. So a lot of people meaned unwell to Shabdrung, and they wanted to harm him. And one notable incident was that a couple of sorcerers performed black magic on Shabdrung Rinpoche, and obviously when he was performing a sadhana, a Guru Rinpoche sadhana, Guru Thakpo sadhana, he kind of drifted into sleep because he was not sleeping properly, because he was doing the sadhana day and night. And when he kind of fell asleep, he drifted into sleep. He kind of saw a pure realm with a beautiful monastery, and he was coaxed into entering the monastery, and he kind of was stepping inside a monastery, and then he got a slap from, as you mentioned correctly, Tusilhamo, who is the guardian deity of Drupakaji. And she told him, Bodhisattva, be mindful, And he woke up, and then he saw that he was almost stepping off a cliff in Cherry.
Damn, if he hadn't been slapped, he would have fallen off a cliff, man.
The Cherry Dudina, you see that, right?
Yes,
that cliff, it's quite steep.
And steep, mola. Yeah, it's quite dangerous. Thank you for that, Tuku. And another story, I mean, not a story, but an account, I guess an account, Tuku, I'm not sure if it's in Tango or Cheri. I believe Shabdrung's father's, there's a Churten stupa dedicated to Shabdrung's father, and there Shabdrung would prostrate 6,000 times a day because he felt guilty that his father had died. Because obviously Shabdrung came to Bhutan, it wasn't a very what's the word? It wasn't a very you could say he had to come in a bad way. I mean, it wasn't an ideal move for Shabdrung to move from. I mean, he was born in Ralung, but he came to Bhutan because of many conflicts he was facing, and he brought the Ranjung Kharsapani, and the Tibetans weren't happy, and supposedly his father was killed while Shabdrung was in Bhutan, and to atone for that sins, like I mentioned, he would prostrate 6,000 times now, and every day he would prostrate, and one day he heard a voice from the Churten. Basically, his father Yapten Nima would say that that's enough that you've attained for your sins. Could you again give me a fact check and clarify that story?
I haven't really heard this story about the prostrations, Kile, but definitely when Shabdrung Rinpoche had to do any divination or he needed guidance, he would always revert to his father's reliquary. The Chorten that you mentioned it houses the remains of Yapte Minyama. Pudung Cheten, as we said.
Pudung Cheten.
Pudung Cheten.
Pudung. What does that mean?
So the remains, the ashes of the relics, the rin cells and everything is housed in a Chorten for reverence and for accumulation of merit. So one notable story I can tell you is that when Shabdrung faced a lot of adversity in Bhutan and abroad, he kind of made a decision to not follow through with uniting the country, and he decided to sit in meditation and conclude his life like that, exemplified by Milarepa and Lingrepe Doji. So he was deciding to just go into retreat and stay in retreat throughout his life. When he made that decision and he was kind of deciding on that, the reliquary of his Yaptembinyama spoke from the Chorten, apparently saying that you being in meditation and you unifying this country, the merit is tremendously uneven, because if you can unify this country and pacify and control this country, the practitioners and the people who will follow your footsteps will benefit tremendously throughout eons. That it will be far better for you to follow through with your plan, and that was one of the reasons why he continued with his plan.
Yes. Nice. Thank you, Tuku. That's a much better story than what I heard, lah. Thank you very much, lah. Tuku. To continue with Shabdrung. Shabdrung's main deities are Peldenhamo and Yishikempo Mola. Peldenhamo, I heard that Peldenhamo, before she became the protective deity, that she used to be a queen to a demon Raksha in the land of Lanka, I guess current day Sri Lanka. And she wanted to convert her king into basically not being a tyrant, and I guess to convert him into practicing the Dharma. But it was very unsuccessful because instead they had a son who was even worse than the father, who would terrorize Lanka, I guess. And one day when the king was away, Paldenhamo, she killed her son, Lola. Killed her son and skinned him alive, Lola. And obviously, when the father got back, he was extremely infuriated, and Peldenhamo and while Peldenhamo was running away, apparently the father shot an arrow. The king shot an arrow, and it hit her steed or donkey. As in Buddhist iconography, you see in most paintings of Peldenhamo, you see Peldenhamo riding a donkey mola, and on the spot where the arrow hit, basically, I guess on the hind leg of the donkey, and when the arrow was removed, apparently Peldenhamo converted into a third eye, because in most of the paintings we can see on the hind leg an eye mola. And what else what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and even the donkey wears on the paintings you can see a flayed skin on top of the donkey, which is supposedly her son. Do you mind adding your thoughts on this, La?
Since I haven't really gone through the biographies of most summas, most deities, I don't really know if I can confirm that about Pendelhamo.
Sorry for bringing this up.
I do know a story about Pendelhamo,
please do share. I'd love hearing stories.
Which is related to Naropa. And basically, Pendelhamo is one of Naropa's main protecting guardian deities. And when Marpa visited, I think it was Pulahari, if I'm not mistaken, where Naropa had gone into complete and utter meditation, where he left everything and he was just lost in that way. But with reverence and dedication, he did manage to meet Naropa again. And at that time, he was shown a whole cycle of deities, the whole mandala of a deity, and that specific deity was Marpa's main hidam, mind practice. So, and Milarepa asked him, which do you choose to prostrate to, me or your yidam, which is Geba Doji. The whole mandala of Geba Doji was shown, and Marpa being quite excited in seeing his deity, his personal practice, he thought, I can always prostrate to my teacher, but this deity is, I'm only seeing it today, and it's very special and auspicious. So he prostrated to that, whatever Naropa created. Yes. And Naropa instantly said, because of that karmic inauspiciousness, your children will not be able to benefit the Dharma. Yeah. As in, Dharmadoti did not really survive. He had a short life. But your lineage will benefit throughout eons, and it will be very, very beneficial. And along with that, he kind of gestured towards Marpa to choose a protective deity, but he kind of made it obvious that he should choose Pendulhamo from all the guardian deities. And Marpa chose Pendulhamo, obviously, Tusilhamo. So Tusilhamo is kind of the main guardian deity for Kaji lineage, but most especially Drupa Kaji. And actually, she's the main guardian deity of Bhutan as well.
Thank you, Tuku. Thank you. That was very informative. I wanted to say enlightening, but enlightening is a very strong word for a simple person like me. Tuku, okay, so since we talked about Peldenamo, we have to talk about Yishigempo as well, because Yishigempo is the other main protective deity of Bhutan. And I have another story. I'm sorry, Tuku, I have to bring in the stories. But if you don't want me to tell you the story, it's fine, Tuku. I would rather hear your version of Yishigempo.
I'm kind of shocked at knowing Kileonchu the rapper, the Kileonchu the entertainer, Kileonchu the very modern, westernized person is interested in all these very spiritual and very different kind of. I've never really noticed this from
I'm
you.
Sorry,
but
I've always been, a Buddhist first. I might not have shown it.
Actually, it's true. I've always seen you pray, Kile.
Yes,
every stupa, every monastery,
yes,
you've always prayed.
At first, I thought it was habitual, but after learning more, after reading, after researching more on Buddhism, it became like more meaningful. Anyways, now I feel like I'm being interviewed to get back to to get back on topic. Tuku, sorry. So Yishigempo la, Mahakala. Sorry. What was I saying? The story, Mola, Tuku. Did you want to hear it or not?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. I'm sorry. It might be inaccurate. It might not be. But I'll just you're my fact checker. That's why I have the expert, the Buddhist master here, and the normal Kilewanchu.
Which is not true at all.
Of course, Tuku is very humble. Anyways, Tuku, I heard that Yishigempo, before he was a protective deity, he was like a demon terrorizing two mountains. He would be on top of two mountains, and whoever would pass by, he would like basically eat them or just kill them. And the people within that vicinity were obviously tortured, so they tried appeasing him, but it didn't work, and they tried warding him off, but obviously that didn't work. So they prayed to Chenrizi and Manjushri. And Chenrizi and Manjushri, they decided to help the people, and I believe Chenrizi and Manjushri, they transformed into a bull and a pig. So they came to the mountain, and Yishigempo swallowed the two, And inside Yeshe Khenpo's stomach, Chenrezig and Manjushri, in the form of the pig and the bull, they would expand. They would keep growing and growing and growing, and it caused a lot of pain to Yeshe Khenpo. And the True said to Yeshe Khenpo that only if you stop terrorizing the people and if you convert into becoming a protector of the Dharma, then I will free you. And I believe that's how he stopped terrorizing and he became the Dharma protector. I mean, please give me the fact check.
Since I'm not a living encyclopedia, I don't know about all stories, but I haven't really come across the story. But I have, again, a different story.
Oh, please share love stories.
So, long time ago, it's kind of related to Shiva and Lama Uma. And Lama Uma. So basically, Lachin Ongchu and Uma Devi. They were engrossed in love, and they were so in love with each other. And this was not in the current time of Buddha's Bodhicattvas' time, but it was in the time of Sangye Shivayu. In that time, it was so long time ago. It was past Buddhas.
Way before 500 century.
Oh, way before that. I don't think there's a number to it, but it's written in the scriptures, and it's way before. So at that time, as Tuba Shivayu was starting to get enlightened and start his teachings, the Dugi Gyabo Garabonchu, he wanted to stop Buddha's advancement in enlightening beings. So what he did was he transmuted all his evil intent into red wind, apparently, and he sent it towards Lachin and Shiva and Lama Uma. And apparently that caused them to, from a very loving atmosphere, from a very loving they transformed into Jikche and Tuse, which was very wrathful and very demonic and very destructive. And their retinue also became very, from a very docile, loving bunch of gods, they became very, very destructive and very, very demonic. And they started to eat and harm, and the whole world was under a lot of strife and terror. At that time, basically, this was done to prevent Buddha Shivayu from advancing in his attainments and benefiting beings. So, Buddha Shivayu did not confront them directly, but a speck of light from his forehead was emitted, and it went to a pure land, and he called upon Chakra Samvara, Chakras Deshu Kolodomba, and Deshu Kolodomba came and calmed Shiva and tamed Shiva and consummated with the Lama Uma to Sulma, and from there Pei Shiki Gyambo was born. So Gyambo is most people do misconstrue Gyumbo as a demonic entity that was tamed, but Gyumbo was born from Buddha's pure intent, and obviously Chakra Samvara is Buddha. So and then after being born as Bei Shige Gyumbo, he had dominion. He proclaimed dominion over all the retinue of Shiva and Lama Uma, Jigje and Dusel, and all the demonic entities in the world were tamed and pacified. So that's one reason why we have very wrathful deities, because in certain times we need the compassion of having the compassion and intelligence of being wrathful to tame beings that are
Untamable
in the conventional sense of loving kindness. And so the loving kindness was very hidden with a lot of wrathful.
Basically, like a blind person receiving his sight.
You could say that.
Thank you, la. Thank you. That very fascinating story, la. Nishigembo. Tuku, we can't end our segment without talking about Drukpa Kinley, la. We both of us love Drukpa Kinley. I mean, I'm kind of biased because I'm Kinley. I got my name from Drukpa, from Chimilaga. Tuku, Drukpa Kinley's methods are known to be very unconventional. We see phalluses on houses, on the walls of houses, on the temples, and I'm not saying everyone, but most people, they see it in a sexual kind of way, sexual or crude. And I mean, even Drukpa Kinley's, like I mentioned, his method, to us, it might seem crude. Like, you know, when we hear stories about Drukpa Kinley, he pisses on a scroll and he makes love with some dude's wife. Can you explain to us, like, what the real significance, like the real meaning behind that, like the crudeness, that the unconventional method, how he really spreads Buddhism?
Okay, so so I think the crudeness, from my understanding of Drukpa Kinley's method, comes from when a system defeats the purpose, then it is required for people who are enlightened, like Drukpa Kinley, to jerk you from the sleep of being stuck with a perfection that is just the method and not the actual goal. So I think that's where his wisdom comes from. And talking about the scroll, which I would prefer to talk about right now.
Oh, please do mention. This is on the scroll.
He met someone on the way. I'm not quite sure, but I think that guy was going somewhere towards Tibet. I think it was in Tibet. I'm not sure, actually. I don't remember correctly. He was, I think, going to meet Wangchuk, his own brother. The person with the scroll, and he mentioned that I'm going to consecrate this scroll, and Drukpa Kinley very excitedly said, "Let me see it. What scroll do you have?" And I believe it was a scroll, as in a tanka. It's not a scroll, but a tanka of a couple of the Kaju Komas. And when he showed it to him, Drupa Kinley actually peed on it. He peed on the scroll, and the guy was almost in tears with anger, and he chased him, but he couldn't catch him, and he ran away. So he rolled up the scroll, the tanka, and he went and he went to meet Wangchuk, Drupa Kinley's own brother, elder brother. And when Wangchuk opened the tanka, wherever Drupa Kinley peed, it had all turned into gold. And Wangchuk said, "You don't need to consecrate this; it's already been consecrated," and it was given back. Related to that, the reason why the tangu cho is supposed to be a wish-fulfilling statue is because I believe that that scroll is housed inside of the cho
as a zung. In an offering.
Yes.
Nice.
And also the you mentioned the
sword.
Not
the sword, Mullah.
You mentioned he was making love.
Oh yes. That's a recurring thing for Drupa Kinley.
You mentioned he was making love with the patron who very graciously. So the story of this goes from Tibet. He removed his clothes, and he said that all path leads to enlightenment, or something of that sort. I'm not sure again. And then he prayed on a bow and an arrow, and he sent it towards the direction of Bhutan, and he prayed, saying that if my activity, please take me to my activity, wherever it lands. And apparently that arrow had struck this patron's his steps, and he had removed the step and he had kept it in the shrine apparently, or he had removed the arrow and kept it in the shrine. And when Drupa Kinley came looking for his arrow, and then without saying anything, he said, "Oh, please come inside. You must be the owner of this miraculous arrow. Please be seated." And he put him inside the shrine, and he was offered tea. So the tea was offered by his very beautiful wife, and she offered tea, and she said, "I have tea." And then Drupa Kinley retorted by saying that, "I have a tea that has been boiling from Tibet." And he kind of took her, he made love to her.
Incorporated.
Yeah. And as the patron, her husband, as he was coming, he got so pissed off, and he said, "You Tibetans, you'll come to my house, you have my tea, and now you're also taking my wife." And he flung open his sword, and he kind of tried to cut Drupa Kinley into pieces. And Drupa Kinley's left hand, as he was making love to his wife, with his right hand, he tied up the sword into a perfect knot with one hand. And even that sword is in the
the zung one, offered as a zung.
Offered as a zung inside the
Tuku. It's in tango.
Tango, yes.
Tuku. What? That's why we love Drupa Kinley. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing that story, Tuku. Thank you. Tuku, before we end this podcast, I have two more segments. One is the reason, while creating this podcast, initially I thought of associating the podcast with 5 wisdom Buddhas. But I decided to change it to 8 Bodhisattvas. Five, because initially I wanted to just interview 5 Tukus. But now I want to interview, I'm planning to interview 8 Tukus.
Good luck.
8 Bodhisattvas. Good luck.
I hope you find them.
With your blessings, I feel confident. But yes, so the 8 Bodhisattvas are basically the 8 qualities of Buddha. Buddha. And from the 8 Bodhisattvas, I felt, please don't get angry, Tuku. I felt, I mean, you shouldn't be angry. I felt Vajrapani was, Chanadoji was most fitting Tukula. The fierce, the power, the energy quality of Buddha. Tuku, but today on the podcast, he's looking very calm. And usually, if people don't know Tuku, people view Tuku as very fierce and wrathful looking. But once you get to know Tuku, Tuku is very peaceful. Tuku is a sweetheart. So, anyways, Tuku, could you share your thoughts on Vajrapani?
Unfortunately, I don't have a story of Vajrapani. But I can tell you that, like you correctly mentioned, he's one of the 8 bodhisattvas, enlightened bodhisattvas that basically promised to stay in this samsaric world till all sentient beings are enlightened before them. So even our Shajathuba, when he was in his previous lives, when he met Marmedze, yes, that is where he took the Bodhisattva's vow from Sangye Marmedze. Sangye Shajathuba offered his long, luscious hair, and then he offered flowers and 2 gold coins, and proclaimed that I want to follow in your footsteps and I want to become you. Kind of prayers and prayers were said by Sangye Shajathuba, and Sangye Shajathuba Chembo. He's also called Sangye Thuba Chembo. Marmedze put his feet on the hair of this young boy and proclaimed that in the future you will be reborn as Buddha Shajathuba. And around that, the bodhisattvas, the great bodhisattvas, were also there in that time. So we kind of misconstrue and think that the great bodhisattvas were basically Buddha's students, and that they were but they were in from time.
Actually, qualities of Buddha memola.
Yes.
Like Tuku mentioned, students, or not a separate part of Buddha, but actually a quality of Buddha.
Qualities of Buddha plus students also.
Students as well.
Oh, yes. Student and teacher guiding, it kind of it works both ways. I think the great bodhisattvas.
Interesting fact, this I think this sunki from Vajrapani's Hagang in Bartham. There's a Hagang temple dedicated to Vajrapani, and the king, the caretaker, he said that this sunki wards off snakes and nagas.
That Chadol Hagang,
yes, Chadol
is special because of the terma of Chanadoji Tumbo.
Tumbo.
Yes.
What's that like?
Tumbo is a form of Chanadoji with the snake in his mouth. So that Chanadoji is a relic, a treasure relic revealed, and a lot of people around that locality revere that and get tremendous blessings from it. And if you're ever harmed by any naga or anything, if you go to that temple, it pacifies everything. So
I guess this sunki helps with that. Mola.
I think so.
Oh, that's interesting. Tuku, with that, we have a final segment to end the show. It's like a rapid fire questionnaire section. I'll ask Tuku a few questions, like 5 or 6 questions, and Tuku, you can answer. You don't have to really think on it. Just whatever comes to your mind, you can answer directly. Instantly. So, okay, like Tuku, what's your favorite restaurant in Timpula?
I don't have one.
It doesn't matter, like Tuku. No, you can whatever comes to your mind.
Okay, Hayate.
Favorite basketball player?
Kyrie.
That's. Favorite rapper?
Wangchuk.
I meant international. But thank you.
Still Wangchuk.
That's it. Favorite anime?
Bleach.
Bleach. Bleach. Very good choice. And favorite anime character?
I'm not good with the names, but what's the guy's name with
From
the
Bleach?
yellow? Yeah.
Ichigo. Yeah, Tuku and I really enjoy watching animes. We used to watch a lot of animes. Thank you for answering the questions. With that, I think we must conclude our podcast. Thank you so much, Tuku. I feel so, I don't want to say enlightened, but so well informed today about Buddhism. I'm so happy that you came here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Kile. And Kenny.
Of course, Kenny behind the computer. He's the man who came up with the setup.
This.
Again, IOX Studio.
Made it possible for us to have this conversation.
Yes. So, thank you. Over and out.